This your boy Xavier Carrington, Big Play Zay,
And this your girl, Brooke Duran at Brooke_Duran.
and we are
Balanced
Balanced Behavior.
behavior.
And we're here digging in the crates, the hip hop podcast.
And this is the Hooker and Max Show.
They and B. Balanced behavior with they and B.
Hey y'all, we're checking back in, man. Today we're gonna be talking about the different characters you faced in a relationship, and we're just gonna see what we can come up with off a couple topics that we're gonna go through today.
All right, so the objective for our discussion today is exploring the different people you may encounter in the course of a relationship and how they can affect it. So we'll go over some outside characteristics as well as some internal characters as well. So let's start with exes.
Oh, okay.
Soul
okay. Going
ties,
right to it.
dealing with the past.
Yeah, well, I guess with the past, I mean, it's definitely a gift and a curse. I think that with your past, I think that was the journey that I had to take to really just learn who I was as a person, and some of the things that I experienced with some of my exes and stuff. I really tried to take the upper end off of those past experiences and stuff to make a better me.
And what would you say some of those upper ends were? You mean some of the highs of
Well-
the relationship?
Well, just it really did come to point on terms of what point of life I was in, because definitely at the time I was in college, and I was exploring myself, and I still knew that at the time I really didn't have much to offer. So why would I put myself in a situation where pretty much put myself in a situation where I would be lying to somebody if not true to myself. So, I try to be real straightforward on what the expectation of the relationship was and stuff, and how we would grow. And I hope that they learned the same thing that I learned from the relationship.
So for you, like with an ex, like how does that typically in your past relationships, like when you have an ex, does it cut off right there? Or does it kind of linger on into the next relationship type thing? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
that's
how do you cut it off?
Well, that's one of the things, like with soul ties and stuff, man. As a man, you really try and figure out, like, you really appreciate the women that give the patience to let you try and manage it yourself, and to make sure that you kind of keep your stress level to something that you can manage and stuff, instead of them challenging you on how you're handling the situation. Because in God's mind, we really do think that we're have a situation handled, but I mean, from the female perspective, it may not be handled to her liking. So just with the exes and stuff, man, just you think as a fella that you can really manage those soul ties, but you really have to separate yourself, like, just kind of keeping communication of, like, even to the simple highs and buys, and even the following on the Instagram, man. It really connects a lot of different stuff that you really don't realize until it's too late. So.
Yeah, I think too that it depends on how it ended,
Right.
and the reason for why it ended. Like, I mean, in some instances, you can have an ex where, you remain friends afterwards, but it is simply, just that, where it doesn't necessarily have to cause any turmoil in your new relationship. It's just, boom, yeah, I had a relationship with this person. We ended amicably, and, we're moving on. Respect to her. She respects me. She respects the new relationship, and that's it.
Well, that's one thing I really did appreciate about you. You'll know of an ex, but you didn't bother me to ask the details or any kind of insecurity.
Yeah, why should I
like
care? Why should I
Um,
care about the ex? I mean,
Yeah.
respect, but it has nothing to do with me and what we got going on currently, unless, she's trying to invade, or if you are still dibbling and dabbling in the
Right.
past where you shouldn't be. So, for me, I didn't feel the need to pressure you or stress you over
Right.
the past.
Right.
And I mean, too, like we mentioned in our first episode, we started off as friends. And I think that's probably the one of the things that has gotten us through all the years that we've been together is the foundation that we initially set as best friends and understanding each other. Like I understood you and how you were in relationships because I saw you in a relationship as your friend, and it went both ways because you saw me in a relationship while we were friends. So just knowing, just establishing that friendship first, I think really helps to deal with any outside intruders or interferences that may come into a relationship, because I mean they're gonna come. There's no stopping it. It's none of that. But you know, just if you can in a relationship, don't jump into them right away. Try to get to know that person on a personal level, on a friendship level, and then you can determine if you can move on and trust that person for who they really are versus feeling so insecure that you got to question them about everything they did in the past.
Right.
So let's move on from exes. Let's talk about faux friends.
Oh,
How many of us have them?
friends? Yeah.
Ones we can depend on.
Friends.
So we're talking about the faux friends. How do you point them out?
Well, man, I definitely I think one of my problems is I'm always transparent and give everybody an open chance. I think everybody wants to see me succeed, but in reality, I know there are some people that probably don't. But at the same time, I do have a lot of friends and stuff that supports me in my lifestyle, and I would think that I always try and tell my mentees that you casting your own movie that you're in right now, and you're the leading role, and you think about the people that you keep close to you and the type of lifestyle you want to live, and you keep those people close and let them be your advisors and your partners. And then you'll have some people that you'll interact that you can tell that they're judging your opinion and they're not really true to see you succeed, and they really just there for the show to kind of see you fall short. But that always been for an epic climax for the victory. But I think about when we got married and stuff, man. That's definitely a day that you want to share with all your friends and family and stuff. But the most important is the people that's actually gonna be there for the marriage. Now, it's always thankful everybody there. You will hope that they there for to be in your marriage and to support you in your marriage. But everybody
that's not always the case.
Yeah, that's not always the case. You have some people that's there just to be nosy, or just some people
just to be nosy.
Yeah. And you got some people that's there just they want to see the beginning and hope to see the end. But
yeah, I agree totally with that. I've had, unfortunately, some experiences with faux friends. But I mean, you just weed them out. The older you get, sometimes people grow apart. But I will say this: once a person shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And I'm sure everybody's heard that saying before, but it took me a couple of times. I would let these faux friends in and out of my life. But there comes a time where you just gotta let it go and just move on and wish those people the best and just keep them in your prayers and just hope that they find the happiness that they need in their life to be great.
Yeah, like we said, we're just discussing the different characters you face in a relationship. What else? What other type of people we might be facing and stuff?
Well, there's the what?
Well, we can go back to like I mentioned earlier, our real true supporters.
Yeah.
And they always, I mean, like, definitely you have them as a friend, but you, through grace of God, man, I definitely know that a lot of strangers have been some real true supporters, man.
Absolutely.
I know some people that I meet on a daily basis and stuff, man. You know, due to social media and stuff, all the time, man. You know, I have people that I encounter and stuff, and we have that social media relationship and stuff, and you know, I can genuinely feel like the support. You know, it's been times that, you know, in passing I have gotten feedback from my wife's blog, and they just giving her props and stuff on her daily post of her Workforce Wednesdays. There's so many black women that I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but I'm just always welcoming. Just the appreciation that she's making that type of positive impact, especially in a time with social media, where, you know, to think that the only way you can really make an impact unless you kind of degrading yourself. And you know,
So let's just elaborate a little bit so everybody knows what you're referring to.
right.
So every Wednesday, I post like a Workforce Wednesday fashion tip. And that's just my first love, fashion and apparel and things like that. So I just started doing this randomly one Wednesday, and it has gone on for, you know, almost a year now. And the response that we get from that, or that I get from that, is very positive. Just hearing from different women that, you know, encouraged me to continue putting those things out there. And even, you know, guys just reaching out and saying, thanks for doing what you're doing. You're showing the women how to be classy, and, you know, things like that when they go to work, and giving them something to strive for. So you're right. I mean, the outpouring that we get from that is great. But the speaking about strangers and them being supporters, I have to agree as well, because we received a lot of love off of the very first episode of our podcast. And it really gave us the push and the motivation to really, you know, be eager to come in here and do these recordings for you all, you know, whenever we can. And just hearing, I mean, we all have tons of followers and friends on Facebook, but we really don't know these people. I mean, let's be honest. We don't know all these people, but you never know who's watching, who's, you know, digging your relationship, really looking up to you. So the amount of people that reached out, I mean, DMs from people that I didn't even know cared. You know, just saying big ups to you and your husband for doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. It's needed, especially in the black culture. We need to see black love. So, you know, I definitely agree with that. You know, supporters, whether they're friends or strangers, those are some of the outside characters that we will encounter in not just a marriage, but a relationship, period.
Right. And then from my home base friends, man, they all my friends from back home, you know, as we are growing in a relationship and stuff, man, I really appreciate their support and stuff, that they're able to give advice to me. And then even my marriage friend, like my wife's her friends, the male figures that we encounter and stuff, man, we're just building a bond to kind of make our strength and the success of our relationship stronger, because we do have a lot of challenges and stuff that we face. And I think the fact that we can communicate with them freely and express ourselves lets them know and gives them a relief, like, oh, we're in the same boat. And it's everybody thinks that marriage is such a
fairy tale
and stuff, man. No,
it is not.
It's definitely an art to it and stuff, and it's definitely education that you will always have to continue to educate yourself each year, and you keep rising to a different level of education.
Right. And I think too, that's why some of those outside characteristics are needed, you know, in a relationship. Right. You know, your relationship has to be strong enough to be able to weed out the good from the bad. So do welcome outside characteristics, you know, from a supporting standpoint, where you can allow these people to encourage you in a sense. So let's go on into the internal characteristics.
Okay.
How did you change once you were in this relationship?
I'm still the same person.
Okay,
Nah.
Okay, now.
Nah. I'm definitely not the same person and stuff. I have to say, man, the change that I took place, man. I had to change a lot of my patterns and stuff. I remember, from the way my day used to start. I used to wake up just totally independent about myself. But now, even when I first got into a relationship, when I first got into the relationship with you, I did notice that my patterns had to change. My communication patterns, I noticed that a lot with a lot of my guy friends and stuff. I can tell when they're actually getting involved in a serious relationship. Usually we'll have a conversation usually the same time of day and guaranteed and stuff, and then they tell me they done met somebody, and I encourage that, and then their pattern starts to change and stuff, and I always find myself being supportive of that because I knew the path and the growth that I took. And that's this transition I got. I know you're doing right, fella, man. When the boys are ragging you and saying, "Man, dad, man, you'll never come around no more," and stuff like that, you might be on the right path on something. Now it's your choice as a man to find that decision making, to put forth that effort to make that transition and stuff. Even though it's sometimes much easier to go hang out with the fellas and stuff, but sometimes, that transition you're going, that urge that's pulling you back, man, that's the easy route. And sometimes, you got to work a little hard for something that really means something. So
yeah, I remember one of your patterns, and I had to be like, okay, you need to reel that in. And it was like when you talk to other females, whether it's just a casual conversation or whatever, he'd be like, "What's up, Miss Lady?
Oh yeah.
Hey, man. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, my dude. What you got? Listen.
I'm a Georgia boy out from the South. I'm a true Southern gentleman.
Because I'm a female, and I know how females can take stuff.
Hold on. I would be like, "Excuse me, ma'am."
Yeah.
How you doing today, Miss Lady? Just simple, polite. But that was a transition.
But nah,
of
it
my
would be all in his tone.
Right.
Like it's
right.
Whatever.
Right.
Hey, how you doing, Miss Lady?
Okay.
No, change your tone.
Yeah, I had to change my tone. I had to change that pattern up, because it definitely
turn it on the Barry White.
Yeah.
Boy, bye. Fix that.
But those are some of the patterns I had to change up, man.
Fix that. It took him a while too. I did not nag him about it.
Right.
I mentioned it. And I was like, we're going to see how long it's going to take him. Right. I know I did mention it more than once, but it was like not back to back to back. Like I might have done it once a month.
Right.
Like, okay, you still on that?
Still on Miss Lady. Still on Miss Lady. It's
different though. If you like, hey, what's up, Miss Lady? But nah, hey, Miss Lady, how you doing, girl?
It's a lot of my a lot of my routines and patterns that you actually adapted with. And that's one of the things I appreciated. So, even though I know that on my pattern I did change some things, but the new route that I was taking, was really helping me develop on a lot of other stuff, man, because, I ain't never think I met anybody that matched my fly like me now. So, as a little fashionista and stuff, and those who have known me, I always been an artsy person and like to think outside the box and challenge other people's opinion about what life is about and how you should live your life, and you should choose your own path and stay in your lane and express yourself however you see fit. But
one other thing too that we can touch on when it comes to how we changed when we were in a relationship. So we met down in South Florida, and when we decided to relocate back to our homes, he went back to Georgia for a minute, and I came back here to North Carolina. And it was like, okay, the first one who gets a job, that's where we'll end up. And he got a job, so he ended up here in Greensboro working at A&T. And I remember him saying, "Yo, you different. You different. Like, ever since we moved to North Carolina, you ain't the same as you were in Florida." I'm like, dude, what you talking about?
No,
well,
sir,
now you got
sir.
your family around.
Right.
Now you got your friends.
Ooh.
And It just ain't the same. I guess. I mean, what was that? It felt like I didn't need you as
Yeah.
much or something.
No. Well, see, that was a good example of a transition, a pattern that
Yeah.
was made on your end and stuff. Now, you did adapt to it and stuff, but your patterns was a little bit different because when we were first in the courting stages, when we was in lovely Boca Raton, Florida, where we was flourishing so well, and then we made that transition, and then I have never experienced you amongst your family and amongst your friends and stuff, and so it was kind of different because our
Yeah.
bond was like
Me and you.
me and you, we was like Bonnie and Clyde, and and shout out to Queen and Slim. Y'all might want to go check that out, man. I heard that was a dope movie. But what I was about to say, but yeah, me and your
Me
pattern,
and you.
yeah, me and you, we was ride or die, and so
We still are right.
we still are ride or die. We still are ride or die.
ride or
But it
die.
was a transition in your pattern. The first event I had came up here to, our family was around. This was like a little intro to the family.
What was that first event? That wasn't when we had moved though.
Nah,
that was
it
Tracy and DJ's wedding.
It was Tracy and DJ wedding.
We were still living in Florida.
And I had came up and the first we was at the reception.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
what
we
you
was
about
at the
to say.
reception, and so she had been courting me, fellas, just like a king should be, man. Made the boys play, made sure you're good, everything's okay, you like something to drink and stuff, and then so I'm meeting everybody and greeting and sitting down and stuff, and then she was like, baby, what you want to eat? And then I was, right before I even get my order out, I was, you making plates and stuff? And I was like, everybody had came.
I do not remember that.
Everybody was coming for you like, oh, you making plates and stuff. I was like, whoa. So, and I'm new to I'm new to the family stuff. So, I'm
It's the first time meeting.
yeah, so I'm just trying to just
I
weigh the
remember that,
ways and stuff. But that was definitely a challenge in your pattern and stuff that kind of changed that I had to get adapted to and stuff.
So what did I do? Did I still make your plate?
Oh,
Or you saying I stopped?
No. We had a conversation about it and stuff, but
Oh.
that was some insecurity on my end where I should have just took it as let's have the conversation. And once we had the conversation about it and stuff, then you realize how I felt and stuff. And there's a lot of times and stuff, just in situations like that, we used to overreact and have a conversation with just ourselves in our minds, thinking that we're debating with ourselves. And anytime you're debating with yourself, you're really only going to get one side of it. So, it once me and you started communicating about, how that affected me and to put yourself in my shoes, that's when I realized that, okay, well, at the time she didn't see it the same way that I saw it and stuff, but now she do understand. She'll be aware of those situations and stuff. And you proceeded to treat me like a king and stuff, and then even a couple times you kind of snap back like y'all worried about yours.
Okay.
So yeah, that's right.
Get out of my relationship.
Yeah,
Let
that's
me
right.
do what
That's
I got
right.
to
That's
do.
right. So, but yeah.
All right, cool. So let's move on. Let's talk about. Well, I think we know the changes were good. One of our one of the things we were gonna say was were the changes good or bad, and I think for the most part they were all good. I can't think of anything that we have done that was necessarily bad for the relationship.
Yeah.
But how would you say I helped you to change?
Well, like I said, change is always good. But to help me change, that's where I'm at today, man. It was just a transition that I appreciate that you was patient enough, to deal with my flaws, because everybody think, by human nature you're gonna make mistakes, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of temptations and stuff, but I think one of the things that's I appreciate about you is the fact that you prove the point that it's not a dying breed of a patient black woman for a black man. And I think that's one of the things that's in music and society that's kind of tearing down that patience for each other. And
but too, I think what that is too is touching on what I said earlier. People in relationships today are just jumping into them. They're not taking that time to establish a friendship.
Right.
They're just like, yo, you're gonna be you my girl, or we just kicking it or
Right.
what. And I mean, it just all moves a little too fast, I think.
And then
Today.
you got a question to ask yourself anytime in a situation that you really consider serious, um, especially when it comes to marriage. Are you choosing marriage or did marriage choose you?
Right.
I think
Like,
that's
did you just want a wedding?
right. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, especially in those first 3 to 5 years, have to understand that, like we saying, we talking about the good and the bad changes. And it's big secret, and I'm finna give y'all the cheat code to this. Every year, it will be a change. That's about the best way.
Every month.
Every month, every day. It will be a change, and just how you just appreciate what the change and look at the positive. Why we making these changes to better ourselves. And as long as you have a partner that's on that same type of page, I think you'll be all right.
Right. The change is never
yeah.
always only about
Yeah.
you.
And I think that's where I really feel like that's where the love part come in. I appreciate I appreciate the spicy and the erotica and all the wild sex, but
Jesus.
I think the main thing that really brings in the love is just the fact that you're willing to compromise your lifestyle to better my lifestyle. And I can tell, and it's vice versa. Now, when there's a situation where you feel like somebody's not pushing effort, that's when, is it really worth the change? And sometimes you just got to make that decision and look at the big picture. And it definitely, when kids get involved, it's a whole nother change. So
now it's you, and
the kids. Yeah. But
That you have to consider when making a change in your own personal life. It's not just going to impact you; it's going to impact you and them. So,
tell
keep
me a
those
little
things
bit
in
about
mind.
how I better to change you, something like that.
Many ways.
It can be good or bad too. Man.
I know. But no, like, you definitely help to improve my patience. I'm definitely I've never been a hyper person, but I'm a much more calmer person when it comes to attitudes. I don't get angry as quick as I might used to, and that might just not necessarily just be you, but it's just maturity too, and just understanding, giving more time to hear people's side of the story versus going back and forth before they can actually finish saying what it is that they want to say, before they finish explaining themselves. Just sit back and listen. You don't have to jump in to give your 2 cents after every statement that person makes. And I know I used to, when we did get in our disagreements or arguments, whatever you want to call them, it would always be like okay, but, or remember when this, and after hearing you out and saying, do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize every time we get in a discussion, you always come with the what or the but or remember when's? Just hear me out.
Yeah.
So, I definitely say that as well has been definitely a change for the good for me.
Oh man, that's what's up.
Yep.
My last thing gonna change, man. I do want to thank, man. The biggest change I think I ever received from you, man, is just supporting me in my business sense, man. I think that what really took us off, and that I knew I had something real special and stuff, man. Out of all my relationships and stuff, I have been an artist all my life, man. From tattoos to graphic design to painting and murals and stuff. I can count just the support that you have given me, even though you might not knew you would support me like that, but just the fact that you kind of that you did support that, and just been seeing it out from the bottom up and to where I'm I am now. I mean, just to go on that journey and stuff. And even though we have had some challenges on, just figuring out, because it's anytime as an entrepreneur, you know, to have somebody supporting you as an entrepreneur, that's real big, man. Because you are your own failure and your own success story right in one, and you really just push yourself to the limit, and just to have somebody, even just in it. Just pushing just a little bit in your corner, man, or just maxing all the way out, man. It's a real game changer and stuff, and I appreciate that.
Oh, you welcome,
Yeah,
sugar.
there you go. But that business sense is real important, man. It's real important. So, and just to have that type of patience is big too, because I know she done seen me tank a lot too, man. She done seen me drop a lot of businesses and also start up a lot of new beginning stuff. But she always been like, she had never been the type to be like, oh, here we go again, or another dumb idea. She's never been a supporter like that. She always like, let's do it. And I'd be like, all right,
That's because I trust you. I've always known that
right.
you are creative and you a hustler.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
There's no denying that.
Let's move on. Look up.
All right, so I think there's several other characteristics or characters inside and outside of a relationship. I mean, we can't cover them all, but I think the most important thing to keep in mind is to keep your relationship first, regardless of whether you have outside encounters with people or things such as social media, or internal characters. Keep your relationship first. Know that any action that you make, will impact your spouse or your family, and just do what's always best for your household. So, what you think?
Yeah, man, just the same way, man. Again, I appreciate all the characters that I meet in life and in this relationship, good and bad, man, because I'm always learning. It's always a story to tell, and I'm always willing to share the knowledge that I have, and to participate in the thing what we call life, man. It's just still always a amazing journey for me. Like I said, I like all the experience that I come across, and I appreciate God talking through me through the strangers and my friends. Just let me know how to deal with all the challenges and stuff that I have in life. And that's about it, man. Just again, man, this episode was real heavily about the different characters that we meet in our relationship, and good and bad, man, and different types. But all of them really mean something, and creative people that we are today. So I'm greatly appreciative of that.
Yeah, boom.
All right, everybody, we coming to a close, and I want to give big thanks to the Hook and McAdoo Show.
And the Hit Squad, David
Hey.
Smith, sound engineer, and our director-writers, Zamora Bonner and Ambria Abney.
Yeah. So we want to just make sure that everybody know, man, this show is sponsored by all our sponsors. So we need y'all. If you want to shoot your information, we're looking for sponsorship.
If you would like to be a sponsor for the Balanced Behavior, you can hit us up at balancedbehavior1@gmail.com.
ZNB. Balanced behavior with ZNB. Balanced behavior with